Hey guys, welcome back to the weather statement. Today we're looking at major conditions for severe weather in the plains and upper Midwest. We're looking at 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather. We're mainly looking at for a derecho possible in parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, and parts of Minnesota, but we still have a higher tornado threat and a decent hail threat. But our main, what we're looking at is for a derecho possible. So let's get into the what we're going to expect for this storms. So as you can see, the threats spread from parts of northern Wisconsin all the way back into North Dakota. So that's where we're picturing our biggest threat for severe weather, a 4 out of 5. But then we have an enhanced risk from South Dakota up to the Canadian border and back to the UP of Michigan. And then our slight risk back from South and North Dakota to Lake Superior, back to in parts of Wisconsin as well, and Upper Peninsula. And then we have two more marginal threats, one around this area and one in Montana and one more in Virginia and in the Carolinas. So just be careful for some bad weather in those areas, but we're really focusing in this area for severe weather. So let's get into what we're expecting for this area. First, we're going to look at our tornado outlook. We have a 5% risk for tornadoes. You might see some spin ups in these storms, but we're really looking at for a derecho. We're thinking so you have a 5% chance from parts of North South Dakota up to the UP of Michigan, Wisconsin. So be careful for some spin ups and some strong storms that could produce these spin ups. So just be careful for that. And we have a 2% chance back from farther into the UP of Michigan all the way back to South Dakota. So just be careful for spin ups, as I said before. And now let's look at our hail outlook. So you see this like checkered type pattern here. This is where we're going to get the biggest hail, up to very, very large hail. And so you really have to be careful for some large hail from mostly in North Dakota, but we still have a hail threat from Wisconsin back to South Dakota. So just be careful for some pretty large hail in that area. And now let's look at our main threat for the damaging winds and possible derecho. So you can see the wind threat really blew off the board. You can see the checkered pattern again. That's really where we're thinking that we're gonna get possible derecho, and you really have to be careful. So let's talk about what derechos have to go through to become a derecho. They have to be a long-lived thunderstorm complex. So they have to be a big thunderstorm complex of storms to produce a derecho, and also swaths of wind over 58 miles an hour or greater. And it must extend for at least 250 miles. So this is a very big area. So we're expecting possible derecho, and no more than 2.5 hours between reports. And in this area, in the purple, we're expecting gusts over 75 miles an hour. That's hurricane force winds. So you really have to be careful if you live in these areas. Take cover, do not go outside, and if you have, just stay at the lowest part of a building, and most likely you will have some trees down, damage to your house, damage to your property, and so just take precautions as the storms fire up. And the storms are going to fire up the most tonight, so you have a little bit of time to prepare, but still, you really have to be careful because this is a major threat. And then we have two more little areas we're looking for damaging winds. So now let's look at the rainfall. Okay, for rainfall, now we're thinking up in Minnesota, you could get about almost 5 inches of rain. So these storms will dump a lot of rain in these areas. Parts of North Dakota up to 2 and 2.5 inches, possibly higher amounts. And then in parts of Wisconsin, half an inch to upwards of an inch. And let's look at one more spot. How about we look at the UP, about half an inch of rain. So there's a pretty big rain threat for flooding. So just be careful for some flooding issues in your area if you live in a low-lying area. And now let's look at our warnings that are out so far for these storms. This is our hazards model. As you can see, there's a lot of heat advisories, but that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the severe thunderstorm. This is the watch. This darker pink is the watch, and you can already see there's some flooding reports. So these storms are starting to fire up, and they're gonna be big. So you really have to be careful. And with the heat building down in the Midwest, Southern Plains, then you just have to be careful for some very strong storms. And now let's look at radar. As you can see, we're timing this out later tonight into tomorrow morning. You can see this line of very strong storms coming through parts of North Dakota, a little bit of Minnesota, and then if we go later into Saturday, you can see, look at this bow. The winds turn into like a bow shaped, and that's when you know you're looking at some sort of windstorm or a derecho. So you can see this bow type storm. So this storm is going to be very strong. You have to be very careful in these storms. Let's go one more, and you can see it's exiting the Midwest, but still you can see its power in the storm. It still is trying to make its bow shaped, and it's finally left the U.S. So that's really what we're looking at today for severe weather, but you really have to be careful for these bad storms. So thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there if you live in those areas. Keep updated with me, and I'll keep you and I will keep making more videos for just like severe weather and other heat and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. Come back for more videos, and see you next time.